They didn't face off at the press conference yesterday, and frankly, you know how it is. We're not going to be, you know, fucking sugarcoating shit. Bud Crawford is not the most charismatic dude unless he's mad, but you would think that yesterday, the fact that he was on, you know, it was broadcast. What time did it come on? 5 p.m. The press conference started on ESPN2, you know, so people watch ESPN2. I mean, I understand at that time what's on at 5 p.m. on ESPN. What, I'm sorry, I don't watch, you know, ESPN as much as I used to. Partner interruption, something like that. So put it this way, a nice solid time spot. They didn't do it on the ESPN Plus app as they do a lot of the press conferences before pay-per-view. They bring it to the big platform. You know, I guess what I'm saying is I just expected a little bit more from Bud. You know, it was a little upsetting. It's like, bro, like you giving one-word answers. And you can see that Joe Tessitore, you know, the host moderator of the press conference, by the way, who else was on the team? Andre Ward wasn't there. It was Tim Bradley, Max Kellerman, and Mark Krieg. I'm thinking like, all right, bro, it's fight week. It's the biggest, most high-profile fight of your career. I understand he was undisputed at 140. I get that. Champion at 135 pounds. I get that. He had the pay-per-view with Victor Postol. I get all of that. But it's like, you know, big numbers on ESPN he's done when he's fighting. But it's like, bro, you know, like, but, you know, it's not in people. I get it. You know, it's not who he is. You know, he does his talking in the ring. But sometimes you want to see him try a little more, you know. It's like, you know, in this day and age, boxing is not only a sport, but it is a business as well. You got to sell. So we're going to be jumping around a lot. I'm getting some work done outside. So they told me they wasn't going to knock on the door if they didn't need me. But anyway, let me pull up this press conference here. We're going to go through some clips. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe, and T Street Controversy with FightView360.com.
Osuna, and we kick off.
Follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversy, Instagram at T Street Controversy. We're going to be here on Fight Night covering the entire broadcast, the fights on the broadcast, including, let me tell you what fight I'm looking forward to. The Isaac Dog Bay Chris Diaz fight. Why's my chair so high? There we go. Here's the card. I like a lot of these fights, yo. It's $69.99 on exclusively on ESPN Plus pay-per-view platform. You know, so you can't buy it through your cable subscriber. In fact, I'm going to watch to make sure. Let me check and see if it's on there real quick. But anyway, I'm digging the Carlos Balderas. This is his second fight with Top Rank, I believe, versus Julio Cortez. Raymond Maratala versus Elias. I may not cover this fight, to be honest with you. But Dog Bay versus Chris Diaz is supposed to be on the ESPN2 or ESPN News channel. I put the information down below in the description box. Basically, it's the free lead up to the pay-per-view. But the pay-per-view itself is going to, from my understanding, going to be Raymond Maratala, Janzibek Alim Kanuli versus Endam, Esquiva Falco versus Patrice Valny, and then, of course, the main event, Crawford versus Porter. I believe this right here, him and Endam, I believe is the chief support or co-feature, as you would say. I don't see it. Look at it. I don't look at it as being a co-feature, but you get what I'm saying. So let's take a little jump cut, jump into the press conference a little bit. I have it open right here, and talk about it. Please subscribe. I'm T Street Controversy with FightView360. See, look, here's one of the parts I was talking about, like right here. Let me pull it up for you.
To talk about that, we're going to get into fight strategy. We'll bring up your two highly acclaimed trainers, and we will talk through everything we need to get ready for this mega fight come Saturday night. Terence, you have said publicly that you need Shawn on your resume. I'm curious as to where your mindset is right now. We have seen your personality and being with you all over the place for weeks like this for championship fights. There's this metamorphosis that takes place where your personality tends to change as the week goes on, as we dwindle down closer to that opening bell. And you've often said you don't need to be the loudest. You just need to be the guy who can look straight at your opponent and look through his eyes and calmly say, I'm going to beat your ass. And they know it when you say it. When you look at Porter, have you now reached that point when you're ready to say that? And do you think that this man to my left would believe those words?
You don't got to believe it. I'm gonna show him come Saturday.
Oh, I should respond to that.
Floor is yours.
And you see what I'm saying? It's like he let him into the question. My bad, I got to take this call. He let him into the question. Like, let him into it. All right, we're back.
It comes your way Saturday night.
Hold on, we're back. We're back. I forgot what I was saying. Well, anyway, I pulled up this clip right here because I find it relevant, because I feel that despite the year starting off very fucked up with Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin on pay-per-view, with Frank Sanchez versus Carlos Negron as the fucking co-featured chief support at $39.99, the fact that January the 1st, 2022, we have that pay-per-view, that's not going to really make what I'm saying, you know, have people have faith in what I'm saying when I say that. I think 2022 is going to be a great year in boxing. Shawn Porter couldn't get, obviously, the fight that he wanted over on the PBC fight, and he's taking the side with the money that he wanted and or would have liked to make, so he had to cross the street. Before the lockdown, I remember Bob Arum doing an interview, and I think it was with the Boxing Show Social, I don't know, but talking about how him and Al Heyman were talking about potential fights that could be made, like Tank versus Loma. You know, that is the PBC model, to fight everyone in your stable that you can possibly fight, make some money off of, you know, before you have to go outside the stable. I mean, it makes sense, you know, all right, they've been doing it for years. You know, all promoters would like it to be that way. You know, but in this case, I really feel that both sides, but especially PBC, is going to have to start looking to have their fighters fight outside to make money. In the case of Canelo, they locked up, even though they had to foot the bill for Canelo, and now Canelo's going to be fighting Macabo. That's a whole different video. And that's probably, we don't know if that's going to be PBC or not. You know, that can be a Canelo Don King promotion for all we know. But anyway, listen to this. This is what Bob Arum had to say.
Crawford versus Porter, ESPN Plus.
Let me mute that real quick. But yeah, ESPN Plus, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll put the link down below in the description box. I'm buying it. I'm going to be here covering the card.
Wait, world coverage.
Oh, wait for me to mute this music. There we go.
And now this. I thought it was impossible.
Here's Mark Kriegel.
In the less than 2 years during a pandemic, we've seen 2 Fury Wilder fights, and now this. I thought it was impossible to cross promotional lines. What has to be done to make this the rule and not the exception?
I think it'll be the rule. I mean, I really have to commend Al Heyman for working together with us to make this fight happen. Crawford and Porter is the best that boxing has to offer.
I'm more for kumbaya. I understand that you have some news to...
Well, he was talking about the new signings. PBC, Top Rank has a really good track record in like building up fighters. Let's hear what Andre Ward had to say. By the way, I'm going with Terence Crawford. Shawn Porter has arguably the best resume among top 5 147 pounders. Win or loss, but frankly, you know, he's lost his really big fights, or at least his 2 big ones, and he said it himself. He hasn't really won the Super Bowl in regards to beating an Errol Spence or Keith Thurman. You see what I'm saying? He lost to Kell Brook too as well, you know, so, but that was him losing his belt, and it was kind of like, you know, Kell Brook was undefeated. Shawn Porter was undefeated at the time too, right? You know, put it this way, his significant fights, his big ones, not the ones like the Danny Garcias and the Ugas, his big ones he's lost. And for him to beat Terence Crawford, that's his Super Bowl. But the thing is, if he beats Terence Crawford, how does he do it? By punch value? You know, trying to maul Terence Crawford? You know, try to go for the knockout? He has hinted at it, try to go for the knockout. We've seen Terence Crawford get dropped, and we've seen his chin get tested against smaller fighters like Mboa, Dirijon. There you go, my bad. Forgot what I was saying. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, but I want to hear what Andre Ward has to say. Let's listen in.
He's as live as he always is in a big fight against a top level fighter. He can win the fight on any given night, and Terence Crawford understands that. The thing about Shawn Porter is, you know, some of the guy you just named, Canelo, he was kind of pushed to fight Golovkin. Shawn Porter willingly chased this fight. Like, he literally called Shawn.
Now, I agree with that, with Canelo being pushed to fight Golovkin. Remember, Golovkin went down to fight Liam Smith, you know, at 154 to win the belt again, where he had to get butt naked on the scale. And then after that, he moved up, you know, I don't remember the exact time frame, but then he moved up to 164.5 or some shit, you know, to fight Chavez Jr. So, you know, you need to go back and research that. I agree with Andre Ward right there. And, you know, to say that Shawn Porter willingly stepped up, I think so. I think Shawn Porter, as a businessman, you know, did what he had to do on his part to be like on his side, the PBC side. Okay, look, what can you give me? You know, what fight you got out there for me? You know, I'm talking about, like, right now, they offering me this over here. For example, Shawn Porter's allegedly supposed to be making at least a guaranteed $4 million. $4 million guaranteed. Terence Crawford, the secret MTK global fighter, you know, allegedly rumored, the promotional and network, especially after this fight, free agent $6 million or so. So the fight's taking place on the ESPN Plus platform. I'm wondering how many pay-per-view buys this is going to do. I say what? 150,000? You think this can do 200,000? Let me do some crude math real quick. Pizza grease on my fingers. Hold on. I had a fucked up breakfast. I half a little bullshit slice of pizza and a cup of noodles. What time is it? Yeah, because I got to do a stream and then get all my food prep done for the weekend. So let's see, 150,000. That's $10 million right there. How much goes to ESPN Plus? How much do they take? How much does the production cost? $10.5 million, $69.99 at 150,000 pay-per-view buys. It's going to be on Sky Sports regular, right? Not pay-per-view over in the UK. But one thing I know is over in Australia, they're charging here. You think I'm bullshitting? Did you know that Crawford versus Porter over in Australia is $40 Australian dollars? They look, they showing this shit on pay-per-view over there. Look. That's kind of crazy, right? But anyway, as I was saying, let's go back and listen to Andre Ward. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Terence Crawford and said, can we make the fight? Terence wasn't ready. Can we make the fight again? Terence wasn't ready. The third time was the charm. Shawn Porter is going to ask questions of Terence Crawford that haven't been asked as a professional, and even some of the questions that his critics have asked about him, Shawn's going to ask those questions come Saturday.
Guys, and Tim, I'm looking at the welterweight division, and there were 4 guys, right? There was, but like really the top 3, it's Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, who people kind of put off to their, and then maybe right under that, but also he was undefeated for a while, Keith Thurman, right? Yep. Shawn Porter had life and death with Keith Thurman. It was a great fight and close, and he lost. It could have gone either way. Then he follows that up with maybe an even better fight against Errol Spence. He pushes these guys as far as they can go, the best fighters in the division. And now, of course, Shawn Porter's the guy to step up and say, gimme Bud. And Bud is saying, I'm going to show against this guy, I'm going to beat him differently than Errol Spence and Thurman, who won by the skin of their teeth. Can Crawford do that?
To answer your question, yes. I believe that styles make fights, and I think that this is a perfect style matchup for Terence Bud Crawford. Crawford, you got to understand, he likes when guys be aggressive and make mistakes. And Shawn Porter, he's aggressive. He likes to be in your face. He makes a ton of mistakes, which is going to be, I think it's going to serve in Crawford's favor.
I think so too. What kind of fight is Terence Crawford going to fight against Shawn Porter? The fight that he fought against Victor Postol, a very respectful boxing, used all 4 corners of the ring. He put on a masterclass boxing performance against Victor Postol in his first pay-per-view outing. Remember, this is his 3rd pay-per-view. His first 2 of Postol flopped. Rumors are around 80,000 pay-per-view buys or so. I don't remember what the Con one did, but we also heard that flopped as well. Let me see something real quick. See if that number came up. And yes, Porter, we see him get hit with clean shots in all of his big fights, shots that would knock fighters out normally. Let's go look at Shawn Porter's resume real quick. Let's see here. 31, 3-1 with 17 KOs. Listed at 5'7". I don't think he's as tall as Canelo. I think he's about 5'6" or so, to be honest. I've met Shawn Porter in person. Sebastian Formella, Errol Spence. He was down in round number 11. Split decision. Your Dennis Ugas, Danny Garcia. A lot of people felt that he lost the Ugas fight, but me personally, I don't think Ugas did enough to beat the champion. Danny Garcia, Adrian Granados, Andre Berto. I was at this fight. Keith Thurman, unanimous decision. Keith Thurman basically ain't been the same since. The Adrian Broner fight was a surprise, and he weighed in at 144. What was the weight? I believe it was 145. I forgot exactly what the catch weight was. Eric Bonet, Kell Brook. But in that, if you look at the only stoppages he has, Eric Bonet, that was PBC on Spike, since Kell Brook. Good doggone box rack, get off my screen. Intrusive ass. See, this is what happened when you try to help people out. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn off my ad blocker for box rate, because it's like, all right, I'm using their shit. So, you know, I'm going to make sure I'm at least letting them get their bread. They can't even send me a t-shirt, no nothing. Like, and I literally I'm only one that probably uses their platform, like on my videos, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Not even a t-shirt. Send me a t-shirt, box rec. Well, anyway. He's only stopped, and we're not talking about Malignaggi. We're going to where he lost his title, where he was rebuilding. He's only stopped Andre Berto. Couldn't even stop Formella. So, can he stop Terence Crawford? I don't think so. I don't think so. Terence Crawford, Kell Brook, Kavalauskas, Amir Khan, Jose Benavidez, Jeff Horn. That's his run at 147 pounds. Not impressive. But I believe he was frozen out, if you really want the truth. I really believe that he was frozen out. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. By the way, Copinger was reporting that Crawford Khan did 200,000 pay-per-view buys. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that. Not one bit. And he was the only one reporting those numbers. I think I've said it before. The only pay-per-view buys, I believe, is Kevin Iole from Yahoo and Jake Donovan from Boxing Scene. Copinger, nah, bro. Nah. But I think this has the potential to do 200,000. You know, I think that's Tank Davis numbers. That's Tank Davis numbers. Even though Tank Davis has you can say, somewhat of a more engaging following than Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter. Hold on, I'm looking for something here. I'm looking at the Wikipedia numbers, and I know it's going to be some asshole in the fucking comments. Well, Wikipedia is not official, but I like to use it as a baseline of, you know, like where, because they have it all in one place. And, you know, after a while, they adjust them to, you know, what the reported numbers are. Just like people say shit like, well, Forbes says Al Heyman is only worth $15 million. Yeah, right, bro. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they don't have Khan on here, do they? Crawford Khan, 150. I don't believe that, bro. Y'all believe that? Let's see if they have Postol on this joint. Terence Crawford, 55,000. Yeesh. Ooh. Ah. Yeesh. Ooh.
Honestly, I truly believe that. But to go back to your point about Crawford, about Porter, and you said that, oh, he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight Crawford. Well, he had no other option. You got to think about it. He fought everybody at PBC. You think about that. Everybody at PBC, he had no other options besides a rematch with one of those guys.
No Showtime Shawn Porter slander here, Tim. He's like you. He is a fighter's fighter.
I'm not slandering him. What I'm saying is that the opportunity was there. He didn't want to take it. I personally spoke to Shawn Porter, and I said, man, you should fight Terence Bud Crawford. He said, well, I don't know about that. I really respect the guy. I'm like, man, listen, your family got to eat. His family going to eat.
You know why he took it?
Make the fight happen.
Do you know why he took it? Because he has gone through all these guys.
Exactly.
Wait. And he told me last week, I don't want to be Dan Marino. I don't want to go to the Hall of Fame without the Super Bowl trophy. This is my Super Bowl. If you look at Shawn Porter's resume, Malignaggi, Broner, who's no slouch, Devin Alexander, Ugas, Spence, prime Keith Thurman, really prime Keith Thurman, prime Kell Brook, prime Danny Garcia. If there's anything to the notion that experience teaches you something, well, Shawn Porter should have learned an awful lot by now, and he needs to put it to use on Saturday night.
And Tim, you say that he makes a lot of mistakes, maybe, but I'm reminded in certain respects, minus the power, as has been pointed out, of Maidana against Floyd Mayweather. When a classically trained fighter is fighting a guy...
I'm sorry, I can't stop thinking about how they put fucking Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin on pay-per-view for $39.99. Bro, I'm tripping. But, you know, as I was saying, I think Shawn Porter has a chance to put on a good fight. Seeing him beating Terence Crawford on the cards, I'm not sure of. I'm not confident to say that. I do see Terence Crawford possibly getting dropped and looking in trouble, but still overall winning the fight. But the question is now, before we go on to my top 5, 147 pounders, is who does the winner fight? See, here's the thing. Errol Spence, from my understanding, he can fight in February. Him and Ugas wanted to make a fight, but Ugas has to fight Stanionis. And then after that, he has to fight Butayev. Or whoever wins between Ugas and Stanionis has to fight Butayev. So the only way your Dennis Ugas can get out of this is if he vacates the belt. But what reason would Errol Spence have to fight him, you know, if he vacates the belt? And if that's the case, he vacates, Butayev Stanionis is going to have to fight. And Errol Spence wants to be undisputed and unify the whole division because he's already got 2, WBC, which he got from Shawn Porter, the IBF, and which he got from Kell Brook. Remember, Kell Brook got that IBF from Shawn Porter. So the question is, you know, what reason would he have to fight Ugas outside of, you know, bragging rights? You know, Ugas' profile hasn't grown after he defeated Pacquiao. It hasn't. It was no like parades or no nothing like that like they did with Jeff Horn. He didn't become like a Cuban superstar. No disrespect to Ugas, but that's fact. So my personal opinion is the winner of Crawford versus Porter fights Errol Spence, and Errol Spence said he don't want no tune-up. He put this on his Twitter. He don't want no tune-up along the lines of, because it shows that you're not sure or something like that, you know, that you have insecurities. So he want to come back and get right back into the sauce. And I'm all for that. You know, and you know, people already saying that he done and he missed a glass and shit like that, you know, meaning he's, you know, these injuries. And a lot of people feel that he hasn't been the same since the accident. But no, to me, Crawford versus Spence is still a big fight. And why not make it in the first half of 2022? You know, because if Porter beats Crawford, I'm guessing there'll be a rematch. I'm guessing. But if Crawford goes on to win, you know, go ahead and make the fight. Crawford clearly got some money behind him with the NTK and all that. And then your Dennis Ugas, you know, he just has to take care of business on his side. And then, you know, if he fights, you know, Stanionis to say, fuck it, you know what, let me just get this out of the way instead of bullshit, and fight him in February as well. Possibly get Ugas Stanionis, you know, if they want to push it back further, get Ugas versus Stanionis on the undercard of Crawford versus Porter. I mean, Crawford versus Spence, or Spence versus Crawford. I think Spence is the A side, by the way. You got Virgil Ortiz, #1 by the WBC, and very close to possibly being ordered to be the #1 mandatory by the WBO. Him right here, he's the IBF mandatory. So, you know, Errol Spence can come back and fight him, get that out of the way. But remember, they want to keep Errol Spence on pay-per-view. But I was going to say this shit ain't going to sell on pay-per-view, but then I have to look at the fact, well, shit. They put fucking Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin on pay-per-view. That's like opening the multiverse. You can do anything now. You can put anything on pay-per-view now with them doing that. But let's take another jump cut. Subscribe. Take your time out. Like the video. T-Street Controversy with 5U360.
with anybody who has pushed him past the limits, and he intends to be the guy that does that. Obviously, we all know Shawn's style. We know rugged, aggressive, yet skilled in how he goes about business. Bud's the kind of guy that always dictates terms, that always has the fight on his terms. Is this one of those classic something's got to give fights? How do you see things playing out here?
Well, we know Shawn gonna come, and we know he's gonna be rugged and try to punch you in your mouth, try to punch you back, and we know that. That's how he been ever since I've been knowing him, and his dad and team has done a great job with that. But one thing they've never done is face a fighter like Terence Crawford. You know, he's different, and we all know that. The whole world knows Terence Crawford is different. That's why he's on the pound-for-pound list for the last 5 years. He could do you this way, he could do you that way, he could hit you in your mouth this way, he could slide on you that way. That's the difference between Terence and Shawn.
Kenny, how do you view Terence? If you were to give the man on the street a scouting report on Terence Crawford, what would be your answer?
Just as I said, he's a great fighter. But, you know, as his coach said, he's different. Everyone in here has a different opinion. Somebody likes my suit, somebody doesn't. Somebody likes Terence clothes, somebody doesn't. Somebody thinks this guy won that round, somebody thought that guy won that round. The fight on Saturday night is determined by everyone's opinion. It's not like basketball. We don't get to shoot the three-pointer, it goes up, we see the score. It's not like football. We don't get to kick the field goal, we see the score. After every round, it's someone's opinion around that ring.
I don't know, guys. I mean, here's a question. Who would you say is the better boxer or more of a boxer, like a finesser? Terence Crawford or Errol Spence? I think this is a good, I can't wait to, I'm getting hyped. I'm hyped for the fight. I'm hyped. So I said I was going to give you my top 5 147-pounders. By the way, we're going to talk about all this in the stream. You know, so this is just a little 30-minute video that I was supposed to do 3-4 days ago. You know, but nonetheless, we're here. Number 1, I'm saying still Errol Spence. Number 2, Terence Crawford. Number 3, your Dennis Ugas because of the title. Number 4, Shawn Porter. And number 5, Virgil Ortiz. Number 6, Boots Ennis. And then that's when it started getting shaky for me. That's when it started getting shaky for me. Take your time out. Like the video. Subscribe. I got another channel, T Street Uncut, where I do everything else outside of boxing on that channel. It's fully partnered, monetized. I'm looking to do some real exciting things on that channel. Also, down below in the description box, I put a link to that WBC app powered by the Vive network for Roku, Android, Apple. Please take your time out, download it, and follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversy or on Instagram at T Street Controversy. So we'll be talking more Crawford versus Porter for the next few days. It's Thursday right now, so I got a stream to do later on today. Then we got to do the weigh-in, then a fight day stream, and I will possibly be streaming during the fight. Not streaming the fight, you low-down degenerates. I'm talking about round-by-round commentary and also my original post-fight video and the post-fight press conference. Check it out, like the video, subscribe. T Street Controversy with Fight View 360.